So apparently, something just went down that has Nicolandria Nation absolutely splitting apart, and I'm not talking about a breakup. I'm talking about a reconciliation that nobody saw coming, with someone who tried to publicly destroy their relationship on a podcast. And the fallout? It's somehow messier than the original drama. But wait until you hear about the hypocrisy that got exposed in all this. The double standards, the selective accountability, and the moment where fans realized they might not actually know these people as well as they thought. The revelation coming later in this video, it's going to make you question everything about loyalty, image management, and who's really pulling the strings behind the scenes. And trust me, the twist about what was said off camera that we don't know about, that's the part that should genuinely concern everyone. What else is being held over people's heads? Before we dive into this absolute chaos, smash that subscribe button if you love messy drama breakdowns, hit the like button, and definitely hit that new hype button. It's YouTube's latest way to support creators, and it helps our channel reach more tea lovers like you. Trust me, you'll want to be subscribed for what's coming when the other person in this relationship finally speaks up publicly. Let me paint you the full picture of how fans realized something was happening behind the scenes, because the timeline of events is absolutely wild and honestly kind of calculated when you look at it all together. It started at New York Fashion Week when Nic and Ace were spotted taking a photo together. Now, most people saw this and thought it was purely for optics. You know, damage control for the cameras. Saving face publicly while privately still having tension. That's standard PR strategy, right? We've all seen it before. Nobody thought twice about it because Fashion Week is business, and these people are building brands. But then this past weekend, everything shifted. Nic was at a club appearance in Illinois, a DJ set hosting gig, and something interesting happened. The DJ played Clock It, which if you don't know is Ace's song.
So as I'm sure you guys all know, Nic and Ace were super close in the villa on this season of Love Island USA. But then right after leaving the villa, Ace did a tell-all podcast and claimed that Nic and Olandria's relationship was fake. And as you can imagine, Nicolandria fans were not happy about this. And everyone pretty much assumed that Nic and Ace weren't friends anymore. Well, Nic did a club appearance in Illinois yesterday. And during the appearance, he danced along to Ace's song, which made a lot of fans very upset.
And Nic, he was fully vibing to it. Not just tolerating it professionally, not giving a polite smile for the cameras, genuinely enjoying it, dancing, giving it energy. And this is where fans started to feel weird, because they didn't have any context yet about what was happening behind the scenes. They're sitting there watching this unfold on social media thinking, wait, hold on. What is happening right now? Because remember, these are the same fans who have been boycotting Ace's content for weeks, defending Nicolandria's honor, dragging his name through every comment section defending the relationship. The attack on Nic started almost immediately. Fans were genuinely confused and hurt because they stood up for Nicolandria by boycotting Ace after what he did on the Speedy Morman show, where he insinuated that Nicolandria wasn't even a real couple. That was a direct attack on their relationship's legitimacy, and fans responded by completely cutting Ace off. So now seeing Nic seemingly cool with him again, the betrayal hit different. But wait, it gets even more telling about where Nic's head is actually at with all this. Then Nic hopped on Snapchat with his friends in the car, and guess what song was playing? Clock It again. And they weren't just playing it, they were genuinely enjoying it, singing along, giving it the full energy. This wasn't a one-time thing at a club where maybe he didn't have control over the music. This was a deliberate choice in a private setting with friends. The fans absolutely spiraled at this point. The comment sections became a battlefield of confusion and anger, and then one fan decided to address it directly.
Someone sent Nic a message on Snapchat that says, "Your fans defended you so hard with the Ace issue, and now your ops feel vindicated about it, making fun of your fan."
Ops being Chile's fans, by the way. And here's where we finally got the context nobody had. Nic responded to that message on Snapchat publicly and said,
And Nic responded to this message and said, "Ace apologized, let's move on, life isn't meant to hold grudges forever."
Just like that. Casual. Like the weeks of fan warfare meant nothing. Like the public humiliation on that podcast was just water under the bridge now because of a private conversation none of us were privy to. The audacity is genuinely stunning when you think about what fans sacrificed defending him. And trust me, when I break down the hypocrisy that got exposed about Ace's own standards for apologies, you're going to see why fans feel absolutely played right now. Because there's a reunion situation that makes this whole private apology thing look extremely convenient for certain people. Now here's where this situation goes from frustrating to absolutely infuriating for fans. Because apparently there are different rules for different people when it comes to apologies and accountability. Let me explain what I mean by that. The issue isn't just that Nic forgave Ace. Honestly, that's his prerogative, and we'll get into the parasocial dynamics of that later. The issue is that Ace himself has very specific standards for how apologies should be handled, and apparently those standards only apply when he's the one who's been wronged. The selective application of accountability is genuinely wild. Let's rewind to the Love Island reunion, because this is where the hypocrisy gets exposed in the most spectacular way. During the reunion, Ace brought up an issue with Amaya. Now here's the thing. Amaya had already privately apologized to him for whatever went down between them. She'd handled it off camera, addressed it directly with him, did the mature thing, and took accountability in private. But apparently that wasn't enough for Ace.
Amaya, the TikTok video of you.
Wait, which TikTok video?
The TikTok
with
video.
Alex Cooper?
Yes, with Alex Cooper.
I spoke to you about
and
that.
And I know, I'm about to address that. When you're on a video talking about some, Ace, let's look at his height. And look, don't get me wrong, I laugh and shit. I laugh at the jokes, it's all fun and games. But when you're preaching, oh, I don't stand for bullying, I don't stand for that, but then you post a video like that, it gives mixed emotions. You feel what I'm saying?
If I knew that she was going to take that video and do X, Y, and Z with whatever,
right,
I would have never have tolerated that or accepted that. And I spoke to you directly that my team was trying to get that video taken down.
It doesn't feel like things are genuine when people are apologizing behind closed doors and there's a different public narrative still being pushed. That doesn't feel right to me.
It doesn't, huh? He got visibly angry at her on stage, making it this whole dramatic moment. And Amaya was rightfully surprised and blindsided by this, because in her mind, she'd already resolved this situation. She'd done what he's now claiming is sufficient for Nic and Olandria. She apologized privately. So let me get this straight. When Ace is wronged, a private apology isn't good enough. He needs public accountability, public acknowledgement, public validation that he was right and the other person was wrong. But when Ace is the one who publicly disrespected someone on a podcast with millions of views, suddenly a private apology is perfectly acceptable? Make it make sense. The double standard is absolutely glaring, and fans are not letting this slide. One fan broke it down perfectly.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just gonna have to be one of the weird fucking petty fans that y'all be in the comments talking about, because I don't give a fuck about Ace's apology. To be honest, I don't give a rat's ass. The only reason that we know that he apologized is because Nic said he apologized, and that is not enough for me, because the only reason we know about him going around doing a smear campaign for Nicolandria is because he publicly, intentionally went on a podcast publicly to do so. And the fact that he wants to apologize privately is not enough. That's not enough. Like, I'm sorry, like, they can forgive whoever the they want to forgive. I don't forgive him. I don't forgive him. That's absolutely ridiculous and absolutely insane. And if the disrespect is going to be public, the fucking apology needs to be public as well. And I feel like the only reason why he's apologizing now is because he tanked the out of him and Shelly's image. Shelly participated as well. They both participated in tanking their image, and yes, they still get booked. Yes, they still get views, all of that. But let's be real. Let's be real. Ace up their image. Like, they both played a part in it. And no, like, I'm sorry, I don't forgive that weak ass apology. And the only reason why he's doing it is because of all the backlash that he's still receiving anytime they post or do anything. Nobody wants to see them anymore, except for their original fans. Nobody wants to see them. Nobody gives a about them, especially me. I don't know. That was absolutely ridiculous. And to keep going on and saying how much of a friend you are to someone after doing that to somebody is absolutely ridiculous. Knowing the hate that they were both already receiving, you decided to pile on and to insinuate an STD and all of this because you're mad about your ego. I don't forgive you. Even though you weren't apologizing to me. It's not my apology to accept.
And honestly, that's completely valid. Ace weaponized a public platform to tank their reputation. He sat there on Speedy's podcast and insinuated that their relationship wasn't genuine, planting seeds of doubt in millions of viewers' minds. That's not a private conflict that escalated. That was a calculated public attack. So why does he get to apologize in private? Why does he get to control the narrative by keeping his accountability behind closed doors, while the damage he caused played out for everyone to see? The asymmetry is exactly what's driving fans absolutely crazy right now. But here's what's really interesting, and we'll explore this more later. Ace only allegedly apologized after the backlash started affecting his booking and brand deals. Not immediately after the interview when he should have realized he messed up. Not when he saw Nicolandria fans turning on him. Only when it started hitting his pockets and his potential for more professional opportunities drying up. So is this genuine remorse, or is this damage control disguised as accountability? Something that seemingly started out of jealousy was starting to hurt his and Shelly's pockets. The timing is suspicious, the method is convenient, and the double standards from someone who demanded public apologies from others? That's the kind of thing that makes you question someone's entire character character. Let's talk about the real emotional core of why this situation has fans feeling so betrayed, because it goes deeper than just being annoyed about a reconciliation. These fans genuinely put themselves on the line for Nic and Olandria, and now they're watching it seemingly mean nothing. Think about what these fans actually did. They weren't just passively supporting Nicolandria, they went to war in comment sections across multiple platforms. They organized boycotts of Ace's content, meaning they actively stopped engaging with his posts, stopped streaming his music, stopped giving him the algorithm engagement that creators desperately need. They dragged his name through every corner of the internet, defending Nic's honor and Olandria's character against accusations that their relationship wasn't real. That takes time. That takes emotional energy. That takes genuine investment in people you believe deserve defending. And what do they get in return? They get to watch Nic play Clock It at a club and vibe to it on Snapchat with his friends like none of it ever happened. It's understandable why it doesn't sit right with them. Now, this is where things get genuinely fascinating, because we need to talk about the person who was also dragged in that Speedy Morman interview, but has been conspicuously quiet through this entire reconciliation situation. Where exactly does Olandria stand on Ace's private apology? Here's why that question matters so much. Olandria has been extremely clear and vocal about her boundaries when it comes to public versus private conflict. During the Love Island reunion, she specifically told Coco that if you offend someone in public, the issue needs to be addressed publicly.
Don't clear things up in private. We're gonna do this in public like you did.
She drew that line very clearly and stood firmly on it. So now we have to ask, has Olandria even weighed in on Ace's private apology? Because so far, all we've heard is Nic's side of this reconciliation. We got his Snapchat message saying, Ace apologized, let's move on. But what about the woman whose relationship legitimacy was questioned on that podcast? What about the person who's been very clear about demanding public accountability for public disrespect? Does she feel the same way about letting it go? Does she think this situation is fine with just a private apology, even though that contradicts the standards she set for others? Or does she think this requires public accountability exactly like she demanded from Coco? The silence is deafening, and it's making fans increasingly nervous about what's actually happening behind the scenes. Some fans are already starting to shift their allegiance. They're saying things like, I'm no longer Team Nicolandria, I'm specifically Team Olandria because some of Nic's moves be shady sometimes. That's a significant fracture in the fan base that wasn't there before. And honestly, that's a legitimate concern. If Olandria comes out and says she's not comfortable with how this reconciliation went down, that she expected public accountability for public disrespect, this whole situation could absolutely blow up in Nic's face. He'd be caught between his girlfriend's clearly stated boundaries and his decision to forgive Ace privately. That's not a comfortable position to be in, and it could create real tension in their relationship. But here's the other possibility. Maybe Olandria is completely fine with it. Maybe she's evolved her position. Maybe she had conversations with Ace that satisfied her need for accountability. Maybe she's decided that private resolution is actually more mature than public spectacle. If that's the case, then fans need to accept that their parasocial relationship expectations don't align with how Nicolandria actually wants to handle their business. Either way, we're waiting for Olandria's perspective, and that's arguably the most important piece of this puzzle. Because if she contradicts Nic's let it go energy, the fallout is going to make the original Speedy Morman drama look like child's play. And honestly, I'm very curious to see which way this goes. But before we get to that potential bombshell, we need to talk about why fans can't forgive Ace, regardless of whether Nic has moved on. Because the type of betrayal we're talking about isn't something that just disappears with an apology, and fans are making very valid points about the danger of keeping certain people in your circle. Even if Nic has genuinely moved on from this situation, the fans are absolutely stuck on what Ace actually did, and they're calling it the most unforgivable type of betrayal. Let me break down why this kind of behavior is genuinely dangerous to overlook. One fan articulated it perfectly.
Learn how to stand on business, like for real, bro. Like, cause that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Like that snake, like that is the most snake that you could possibly do to somebody. That is a really snake ass thing to do, to be somebody's best friend because you are mad that they didn't say what you wanted them to say. You publicly go and try to fucking destroy their image. Like that is some really snake ass, bro. Like, no, you don't keep those type of people around you. You do not keep those type of people in your fucking circle, because the minute that you make them mad, they're gonna go tell your business. Oh, did you think that we forgot about the Speedy saying, oh, the shit that Ace told me was true? Like, I didn't forget about that. What did Ace tell him? Messy ass. Like, what did he tell him? You do not invite people like that into your circle. Ever.
And honestly, this should be framed somewhere because it's such an accurate read of the situation. Let that sink in for a moment. The betrayal runs so deep because this wasn't some random person from the villa throwing shade. This wasn't a rivalry that everyone saw coming. This was Ace and Nic. They had a genuine friendship, a bromance that fans absolutely loved watching develop. They were close, they trusted each other, they had each other's backs in the villa, and then the moment Ace felt unsupported, the moment Nic didn't take his side in whatever conflict was brewing, he weaponized private conversations and went nuclear on a public platform. That's not just messy, that's calculated destruction disguised as just being honest. But here's what's really keeping fans up at night, and honestly it should concern anyone who's paying attention to this situation. During the Speedy Morman interview, Speedy mentioned that Ace told him things off camera that were supposedly true. Let that marinate for a second. What else did Ace say that we don't know about? What other private information is he holding over their heads? What other secrets or conversations is he weaponizing behind the scenes? That kind of friend is genuinely dangerous to keep in your circle. Think about the precedent this sets. If Ace can go on a podcast and trash his supposed best friend's relationship because he felt slighted, what happens the next time he feels unsupported? What happens when the next conflict arises and Nic doesn't respond the way Ace wants? Does he go nuclear again? Does he reveal more private information? Does he escalate even further? The pattern of behavior is what fans are terrified of, and forgiving it once basically gives permission for it to happen again. That's not paranoia, that's pattern recognition. And frankly, anyone who's been burned by a friend like this knows exactly why fans are so adamant about not letting this slide. Plot twist: Nic is catching more heat than Ace right now. The person who got disrespected is taking more damage than the person who did the disrespecting. Fans are calling Nic out for not standing on business. They expected backbone, expected him to demand accountability, and protect the relationship Ace tried to destroy. The criticism cuts deep because it implies Nic's too willing to let things slide for industry relationships when fans expected him to draw a line here. The deeper issue? Nic accepting a private apology makes the public disrespect look like it didn't matter much to him, which makes fans wonder, did he care about the damage or just want the drama gone before it affected his brand deals? If you truly cared about your relationship being questioned publicly, wouldn't you demand the same level of public accountability? Accepting less sends a message. The fan base is fracturing between people who think he's being mature versus naive. Neither perception helps long term. What's crucial through all this mess, Nicolandria is still winning, absolutely dominating in ways that prove the haters wrong and validate why fans supported them. The VMAs and New York Fashion Week, they owned both events and outshined everyone on social media. Other couples from their season attended, but Nicolandria was the conversation. And this isn't just about looking good, this is tangible business success proving their relationship is legitimate. Olandria is locking in Microsoft-level partnerships, corporate campaign legitimacy, not just influencer deals. Their couple brand is thriving too. Sweet Green promotional shoots signal that brands see value in them as a unit, the kind of partnership that only happens when companies believe in authenticity and longevity. Olandria's agency representation is opening massive doors. Nic's international campaigns keep rolling in. This is legitimate career momentum most reality TV stars never achieve. Bottom line, Nicolandria's relationship is solid, their trajectory is ascending, and their brand partnerships prove the industry sees something real and valuable. Let's address what's really happening beneath all this drama, parasocial relationships, and why this Ace reconciliation has everyone spiraling. Quick explanation. A parasocial relationship is a one-sided connection where fans invest emotional energy into someone who doesn't know they exist. You watch them on TV, defend them online, celebrate their wins. Your brain processes it as if you actually know them. But this situation is forcing a harsh reality check. These reality TV personalities don't owe you specific responses to conflict. They don't have to handle relationships the way you want. Nic can forgive whoever he wants and prioritize his own mental health over fan satisfaction. He has information and context we'll never see. That's valid on his part. But fans are also allowed to withdraw support if they feel disrespected. If you sacrifice time and energy defending someone, then watch them dismiss it, you're not obligated to keep defending them. That's valid too. This is the complicated dance of parasocial relationships. Creators benefit from dedicated fan bases, but expectations can feel impossible from their perspective. Fans feel betrayed when their investment isn't validated. Nic feels controlled by fan opinions. Nobody's technically wrong, but everyone's frustrated. The lesson? What we see publicly is a fraction of what's happening privately. Nic probably has information that would change how fans view this, but he's not obligated to explain every decision. Fans need to decide. Accept the gap between expectations and reality, or disengage for their own well-being. Both responses are completely valid. The biggest question hanging over the situation is what Olandria will say when she addresses this publicly, if she addresses it at all. If she contradicts Nic's let it go energy and demands the public accountability she expected from Coco, you'd have a public disagreement between them about handling disrespect. That validates every fan saying Nick didn't stand on business, and forces him to choose between the Ace reconciliation and his girlfriend's boundaries. If she supports Nick's decision completely, fans who feel betrayed still won't be satisfied. Their defense would still feel dismissed regardless of couple unity. If she stays silent strategically, the questions remain unanswered and the Team Olandria over Team Nicolandria sentiment continues growing. Nicolandria will likely be fine. Their professional success speaks for itself. But the fan dynamic has shifted, and Ace remains the cautionary tale about weaponizing private information publicly. The reconciliation might save his immediate circle, but reputation damage lingers. So where does this leave everyone? In the messiest position where loyalty is complicated, forgiveness is personal, and parasocial expectations clash with private reality. Fans can either accept how these people handle relationships or withdraw support. Both choices are completely valid. Now I need to hear from you. Do you think a private apology was sufficient, or should Ace have addressed this publicly? Are you team forgive and move on, or team public disrespect requires public accountability? And whose perspective matters most, the couple moving forward or the fans who defended them? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if this deep dive kept you engaged, subscribe for more Love Island tea, and tap that hype button so you don't miss updates when Olandria finally shares her perspective. Spilling the tea one drop at a time.